Good morning and welcome to another Glenn Maney Talks Chelsea. Sorry for my bleary-eyed look. I had some wine yesterday while I was watching the game. So, is there any sentence to start off a Monday that sounds better than yesterday away at Tottenham? It was Tottenham Hotspurs 0, Chelsea 3. And when the game started off, or when the team was announced, no disrespect to Kepa, but when Mendy's name isn't on the team sheet, my backside starts going like that. I know Kepa's a £70 million goalkeeper, but I think it's because of the times when, not really mistakes, but when he hasn't saved stuff he should. My bottle always goes a bit, and there was one bit in the first half where he spilled the ball and then gathered it again, and I thought, here we go, but the boy redeemed himself and he had a decent game actually. He looked quite secure, he even came for a ball in the air. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, so well done Kepa. And the other thing was that Kante was missing. I looked at that Spurs midfield, all big lumps. Dombele, what's the other guy's name? I think he's Dutch. Holzberg, is it? I don't know. But I looked at them in midfield and thought, they could well sort of outfight us. Whereas if you've got something like Kante, his speed, his energy, and everything can actually bypass that. So, I was a little bit worried when the team was announced. And the team was, of course, Kepa in goal, Aspie playing right wing back. In the middle, we had Christensen, Thiago Silva, and Antonio Rudiger, and Marco Alonso as left wing back. And then in front of them, we had Jorginho and Cover. And then we had Havertz and Mount, and up front, Romelu Lukaku. So, Tottenham came out. Their idea seemed to be to put a forward on each of our back four and then rely on that midfield to bulldoze through our midfield. And to some extent that worked. I don't know about you, but that first half we were under a lot of pressure. I thought Spurs pressed really well, but I did actually say to a couple of mates I was watching the game with, they're not going to be able to keep that pace up for 90 minutes. And so it proved to be. Mason Mount was having not his best game for probably the second or third game in a row, and I wasn't actually shocked when he got hooked. I said in a previous video, maybe missing a game caused him to not be at his best, because he seems to be a player that has to play all the time. But I hold my hands up, I'm probably wrong. Probably needs a rest. He's a young man, played a lot of games last season, went straight onto England duty, played his games, fair few games with England, because obviously they got to the final, and he probably needs a rest. He probably needs to sit at the side, watch a few games, and and just let his body recover. I mean, that's a hard task because they still train at pretty high intensity, but I think that's what Mason Mount needs. When I look at Twitter, I'm not going to put any more cabbages up, you know what I mean. When I look at Twitter and I look at a couple of the Facebook groups, we should sell Mount. I do worry about these people, in everyday life, because they got to make other decisions as well, haven't they? If they're in the middle of the Antarctic, do I buy a wooden house or do I buy a flimsy tent? And that there's going to be flimsy tents shooting off the shelves somewhere. It's I don't know what to say. In fact, I probably shouldn't even mention them, but they do annoy me when I watch it. So yeah, that's what Tottenham's plan was. I'll just mention, was it Martin Tyler that was commentating yesterday on Sky? It's sustainability. He said sustainability 6 times with little reference jokes to ecology. What's that all about? You know, I thought it was an Extinction Rebellion member actually commentating on the game. I don't know what that was all about. I've got on my notes a fumble by Kepa. Then Kepa Brave, I've got on my notes. So Kepa, yeah, he came out at the feet of Son, didn't he? And I thought, well done. I mean, I still, in the old days, goalkeepers used to come out, well, Peter Bonetti used to come out and get his body right behind the ball. But a lot of keepers don't do that nowadays. Kepa came out as if he was going to stop a ball going through his legs, but he ended up with the same result. So well done, Kepa. Still brave. Thiago pass for Thiago yesterday. That pass for the Alonso shot, you know, the volley that Lloris put over. The whole thing was amazing. A brilliantly weighted pass, and Alonso really did take that well. Kante for Mount at half time, taking off an offensive player for a supposed defensive midfielder. That was just a masterclass from Tuchel. You know, it was just what we needed. And Kante in that second half, he was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Cabbages wanted him sold. Some of the cabbages wanted him sold. So that tells you all you need to know about the cabbage mentality. The world's best midfielder. He is only 30 years old. We've got another couple of years, top quality years out of him. They wanted him sold. We were going to replace him with Declan Rice, apparently. Well, nothing against Declan. I rate him, but on the same level, no. Not in a minute, anyway. Well, Declan's only 21, bless him. Yeah, then we had the Alonso clearance on the line. Dyer cleared off the line. That was a great clearance by Dyer. I'm not his biggest fan, but it was a great bit of defending. Maybe Alonso should have scored, but we'll let him off. All my notes is Silva great tackle, and then we had the Silva goal, header from a corner. Sort of stayed back, ran into the box late, outfoxed them. Dele Alli was meant to be marking him, but nowhere near. Great header, and that took the pressure off. It took the pressure off. We didn't look like losing after that. And then that deflection, I think it was off Dyer. That serves him right for saving it on the line, doesn't it? From little Nagolo, and I don't know. That's got to be an own goal, isn't it? But I suppose if it's on target, if they reckon the shot was on target, which I think it probably was, then Nagolo still gets it. So well done, that man. And that was it, 2-0. Game was over, really. They never looked like scoring in the second half. Not to me, anyway. And then number 3 was Rudiger with a great finish, which I was particularly happy with because I had Chelsea to win 3-0 at 12-1. I also had them to win 3-1, but yeah, that's me happy. I'll be running down the bookies this morning to get my money back. So, shall we score these? Boys? Kepa. I'm going to give Kepa a Razbalaga an 8 because I thought he played. well. He didn't have a lot to do, but what he did have to do, apart from the fumble, he did with quite a bit of an assurity, and it's nice to know you've got him in reserve because he is on his day he's a very decent goalkeeper. Aspie always does what you get on the tin, doesn't he? You know, Mr. Reliable. I thought he played well. Obviously, in the first half, he was pressed back quite a bit. Reliable, a couple of really good tackles, got forward, particularly in the second half. Just a great captain's performance, really. And Aspie gets an 8 from me. Christensen was immense again, absolutely immense. The second time I watched that game, he didn't put a foot wrong, the lad. Getting forward, you don't really notice him. You notice Rudiger's surging runs, but a couple of times Christensen did exactly the same, and a couple of great tackles as well. Christensen gets an 8.5 from me. I thought he was excellent. Silva, my man of the match, and I think most people's man of the match. I'm going to give Thiago Silva a 9.5 because right at the start, when we were under the cosh, he was superb. When they were pressing him, he was actually bringing the ball out. And so it was breaking their press right at the start. He then had the midfield, which he bypassed, with some excellent passes. Great in the air, defensively. One great tackle, one great block that I can remember. I thought he was injured, but he wasn't. And then of course the headed goal. He was just superb yesterday. 37 next week, and just the epitome of a great defender. Rudiger, yeah, Rudiger didn't put a foot wrong as far as I can remember. One bad pass that just went in the stand. I don't know what that was all about. And another poor pass going forward. But you know what? He put a shift in, good in the air, scored a goal. What more can you ask for? I'm going to give Rudiger an 8 yesterday. Alonso, I thought it was a real game of two halves for him. In the first half, his defensive frailties were shown up, and I was thinking, oh, please bring on Chilwell at half time. But in the second half, because the tempo of the game changed and because we was on top, he was pretty immense going forward, wasn't he? He is what he is. He's probably a world class wing back and probably a very decent Premiership fullback, and it is what it is. Alonso gets an 8 from me yesterday. In fact, now you know what, he gets an 8.5 from me purely because of that volley, the technique involved behind that volley that Lloris saved and the way he took it. Yeah, he gets an 8.5 from me. Cover was excellent yesterday. He made runs to break the press. He got back and made tackles. Having a real good season. Kovac gets an 8 from me. Jorginho gets a 7.5 from me. Bordering on 8. Took the sting out a lot of the times. Gave the ball away a fair bit more than he normally does in that first half. Some quite poor passes. But again, took the sting out of him a lot. Now, you know what? I'm giving Jorginho an 8. I'm probably just being a bit unfair on him because I don't like his style of play. You know, sometimes, you know, I think he should play forward and he doesn't. It's sideways or backwards. But you know what? It works, doesn't it? So what do I know? Mason Mount. Mason Mount, we've already touched on him. He's in a poor vein of form. I get annoyed. I watched on Twitter yesterday. Someone was saying that he was actually an ordinary player, and I try and control myself, but I just put just talking drivel, mate. I think it was a podcast as well, and I couldn't help it. You know, they always say this old adage that form is temporary, but class is permanent, and that's the way I look at Mason Mount. The young lad looks like he needs a rest. So Mason yesterday, I'm going to give a 6.5 purely because his standards are so high, and I thought he was pretty. He gave 100%. He gave 100%, but I thought his decision making was poor, and a lot of the time he looked laboured. So 6.5 for Mason Mount. Have a rest, son. You are quality, and you've got my support. Absolutely, 110%. Looking forward to seeing you back and in form. Havertz yesterday, he flatters to deceive, doesn't he? He'll do something. If there was one bit of skill on talking of skill, Kovac, do you remember the bit where he flicks it over his head and goes forward? Absolutely brilliant. But yesterday, Havertz, he looks laboured at times. His decision making wasn't the best. I think like anything else, he's a young lad. He's going to have good, great, and mediocre games. And for me, yesterday, Havertz had a mediocre game. He gets 7 from me. He gets 7 from me. He could have been hooked or mounted. It wouldn't have mattered either way. Then Lukaku. Lukaku had a quiet game, but you know what? He held the ball up well, particularly when we were under pressure. Kept trying to score. At 3-0, he had one on the edge of the area. I had them on at 12-1. I thought, no, 3-0's great, thanks to Lukaku. And I was really chuffed when the Tottenham player got to tackle it. So that's a bit of honesty for you. But yeah, Lukaku gets an 8 from me. He worked damn hard. Probably deserved a goal, but it wasn't to be yesterday. Now, I don't normally score substitutes. I'm not going to score Werner, but you know who I'm going to score? N'Golo Kante, because he came on, he played one half, and he pushed Thiago Silva for man of the match, in my opinion. If it hadn't been for the fact that Thiago was just quality right throughout that 90 minutes, the little man would have got man of the match. And Kante gets a 9 from me for that reason. He came on, he was excellent. Alright, his goal was a bit fortunate, but who cares? It went in, and you've got to shoot to score. But his all-round play, his energy, tackling back, retrieving the ball, going forward, making runs, taking men with him to allow space for others. He was just superb. So he gets a 9 from me. And last but not least, Thomas Tuchel, who, you know, he did what needed doing. He did what good coaches do, and a lot of eyebrows might have been raised, particularly in the cabbage section, bringing on a defender, a defensive midfielder supposedly, and taking off an offensive midfielder when you're 0-0. But it worked a treat. It took the pressure off us, and for that reason, Thomas Tuchel, you get a 9.5 from me. Joint man of the match. And that's it. What can I say? A great day at the office for the boys, which was good because our second string got thumped, didn't they, by Arsenal. But yeah, it's a great performance. I think we can take a lot from it. We know now when teams do put a little bit of thought on this back five and how to counteract it, we're good enough to overcome whatever they throw at us. And beating the Spuds, beating the Rottenham at any time makes your weekend, doesn't it? So let's enjoy the week. We've got Aston Villa to come in the League Cup, and I shall speak to you after that. Thanks for watching these. If you do enjoy them, please subscribe. Please throw the vlog a like. It helps me algorithm. And just thanks for watching. Okay, up to Chelsea.